Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
8:07 now on this Monday morning in your nation's capital, the 12th day of January. Thanks for letting us be a part of your morning routine. Coming up in just 10 minutes, Lisa DAFTARI. She's a foreign policy journalist, and she has sources in Iran. She'll give us the latest on the Persian Street. That's coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Carrie Lukas in for our friend, our coworker, our sister, Julie Gunlock, who is still recovering from a health scare that she experienced last week. Well, in fact, we've got an update on Julie's situation and her status that we'll share with you coming up a little later this hour. But, Carrie, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And the things you go through and do to just get a chance to be in Julie's spot now and then. It's unbelievable. Can't believe
I'd much rather be listening from my car and listening to Julie Gunlock right now. I'll tell you that.
Me too. Actually, Carrie and Julie would be a great show to listen to, and I could take the day off. Joining us right now is Maryland Delegate Kathy SZELIGA, Republican member of the House of Delegates, represents District 7. That's Baltimore County and Harford County. Delegate SZELIGA, well, the boys and girls are back in town. Everybody hide your pets in Annapolis. It's time for a new legislative session, and now that just means I can't get a table at Galway Bay.
Well, don't just hide your pets, hide your wallet.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, we want to talk about that coming up in a bit, and about how there's going to be another big money grab here, which might hurt Wes Moore, actually, since he's trying to run for re-election. But let's start with fraud, because as I was watching the events unfold in Minnesota, the only thing I could think of is, oh, please, if that's going on in Minnesota, Maryland's got to be times 5. What do we know so far about the Department of Health Services in Maryland, and whether there's any fraud problems here?
Well, Larry and Carrie, when I opened the Baltimore Sun, so to speak, on my laptop, the headline, Whistleblowers Food Stamp Scheme Aimed at Avoiding Penalties. 2 senior officials are alleged to have hatched a plan to maintain a high error rate on food stamp payments rather than making every effort to correct their errors so they could avoid paying penalties to the federal government. So I looked at that and I said, this really takes fraud to a whole new level. In these other states, the fraud's going on by subcontractors or bodega owners or food stamp recipients who are selling their food stamps. But in Maryland, the allegation is that government workers who pledge to be good stewards of our tax dollars are hatching a scheme to, basically defraud the federal government.
Kathy,
and to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Kathy, this really is just amazing. What are the consequences? Has there been a response to these allegations? Are they saying, "Oh no, this is an error," or have they just been trying to avoid this conversation?
Well, Carrie, you won't be surprised to hear that the first response from Governor Wes Moore was to blame Trump. Certainly, it was his fault, and to blame the media and the reporter, because it clearly could have been their fault. And to, just say, let's sweep it under the rug. But a great reporter from Fox 45, Mackenzie Frost, she got him on the record, and he stopped denying it completely. And he said, no, this isn't what happened, and we're going to investigate. A good steward of tax dollars would say, let's investigate this immediately, right? Well, that's what the Maryland Freedom Caucus did. So we immediately put together a letter, sent it to President Trump, sent it to the Secretary of Agriculture. Secretary Rollins oversees the food stamp program, sent it to Congressman Andy Harris. He is the chairman of the subcommittee on appropriations where food stamp benefits go, and sent a letter to Wes Moore. We said, when are you going to eventually fire the secretary? He's been involved in foster care problems, a foster care child dying, putting foster care kids with sex offenders. He has a whole litany of problems and scandals, and Governor Wes Moore continues to stand by him.
I lost his name in my notes here. Who is this we're talking about?
Lopez. Secretary Lopez.
Secretary Lopez of Health Services. All right. Oh, well, we'll keep an eye on that as well. Department of Human Services. Human Services. That's right. Because, not to be confused with the bovine services that we have set up in Maryland for all the dairy cows. Also, it's going to get a lot more expensive, once again, to live in Maryland as we're seeing rate hikes for BG&E, electricity prices, now most expensive for all the utilities. And this is at a time, of course, when Governor Moore wants to force everyone to not use oil, not use gas, not use propane, or any other sort of so-called carbon emissions sort of. Although does he know where electricity comes from? Because, you use carbon for that, too. But what's the breaking point here where the governor's policies are actually going to give people, so much of a headache that the taxpayers are done?
Well, we hope that this is the year that they take it seriously. As the Maryland Freedom Caucus last February, we put out a 4-point plan to deliver immediate and long-term relief to electric bills. One thing we were successful in, and we contacted the Secretary of Energy in D.C., is keeping them from completely shutting down 2 of our electric generators, 2 of our power plants. So they've closed 6 plants. And you can electrify Maryland and close plants. It's supply and demand.
Oh, we're going to have rolling blackouts. That's the only. Net result of this. It's outrageous.
There you go.
So let me just get this straight. Electricity is going to cost us more, but there's less supply because the plants are closing down. So we're going to pay more for less reliable electric service at a time when if Governor Westmore had his way, everyone would stop using a gasoline-powered automobile, and you'd have to rely on that electricity to charge your car in your driveway so you can get to work the next day.
You nailed it. And Maryland has the highest, a report just came out a week or 2 ago, the highest electricity cost in the country, highest. And the response should be, wow, let's turn those power plants back on. Let's produce more energy. So the Freedom Caucus is holding a hearing on Friday. It's the second Mid-Atlantic energy hearing. We're holding it with Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. Virginia was supposed to come. They may be called into session, but nevertheless, we've got 4 states right here in the Mid-Atlantic, and New Jersey is almost as bad as Maryland, and we're putting all the pressure on Pennsylvania to burn coal and burn gas to provide us energy so that the environmentalists in Maryland can say, look how green and clean we are.
Finally, Kathy Szeliga, we only have a minute left, but Westmore is either going to try to run for president or he wants to be, somebody's running mate. And to that end, he wants to redistrict Maryland. Again, it's like Democrats cannot stop themselves to try to eliminate the last remaining Republican district, Andy Harris's first congressional district. What's that fight going to look like? And are Republicans pretty much just relying on the courts, hopefully, to come to the rescue again?
Well, yes, you are correct. The Party of Fairness and Integrity wants to make Maryland 0 Republican representation. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how Westmore runs for office, goes anywhere outside of the, deep blue corridor, looks a voter in the eye and says, I'm going to represent you, when he's moving to eliminate all Republican representation in Washington, D.C. Yeah. So I was the lead plaintiff on the last lawsuit that was effective in making them change the map. It's Szeliga versus Lamone. And we are ready to sue again. We've talked to the attorney. I'm working with Congressman Andy Harris. If they bring this, we're going to sue. And I think we end up with 2 congressional seats, not just 1.
Well, it's funny. That's the danger here. And I hope it'll be fascinating because if we get the right judge, if we get the right court, if we get the right decision, as we've gotten in the past, they could end up forcing a redraw that could hurt them in the long run because it's already gerrymandered up the wazooly. All right, we're out of time.
What does Montgomery County have in common with Western Maryland? It should go into Carroll County. Nothing.
They want that Maryland 6, man. They want that district. That's what it was always about. That's exactly what Governor O'Malley said it was all about. All right, we got to leave it there. Kathy Szeliga, good luck. See you in Annapolis.
Thanks. Pray for us. All right. Thank you.
It's 8:16.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
The protests and demonstrations reached a fevered pitch over the weekend in Tehran itself. We had government buildings being burned. We had flags being torn down, government symbols and icons being removed from the public square. Incredible scene. Where does it all lead? Because we have seen protests before. What's different this time? Joining us right now is the founder of the Foreign Desk News and a friend, Lisa Daftari, who, as a Persian American, I know that this makes your heart soar, Lisa. Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for having me.
So what's different this time? Will it be different this time?
Mm-hmm. Yes and yes. It's absolutely different this time, and I internally and externally, right? Externally, we know we've been watching for a couple of years now as Israel has diminished the proxies belonging to the regime. The Bashar al-Assad regime in Syria has fallen. The Maduro in Venezuela, his partner in this hemisphere, has fallen. And we see, obviously, in the 12-day war, the United States and Israel were able to diminish various parts of their missile and nuclear program, take out many key players of their government and, of course, their nuclear program. And internally, we see this evolution of the Iranian people who have come out onto the streets various times in the last 47 years, most prominently in 2009 in the Green Revolution, a couple of years ago with the Masa Amini, the women-led protests. And, of course, now it is expansive. We're not just seeing the cool kids of Tehran as we've seen in the past, where the young kids come out in the main cities. We're actually seeing protests in all provinces, including clerical provinces that were traditionally aligned with the government. So we're seeing all ages. This is generational. This is grandparents, parents, and their kids coming out onto the streets, recalling the time before this government in which Iran was the great Persian Empire. It was the tradition, the civilization that they are proud of.
Lisa, can you talk a little bit about the actions that have been taken over the weekend? I mean, these protesters are in some cases being mowed down now. There's you don't know what to believe on X. I know that there's some information coming out, but possibly thousands of people have been shot. Do you have any insights into the numbers and just how they continue to fight on in face of this incredible military force that these protesters have to face down?
Yeah, absolutely. It's bloody and brutal, and the lights are out, right? They took out the internet and electricity and phone lines are down, so the Iranian people can't communicate with the world as they have. They became the first to have their Twitter revolution in 2009, so they've been used to, being citizen journalists and telling their story to the world, where their government tries to obviously stop them. We don't have an actual verified count, and I know it's in the thousands, and I know it's going to be horrific, but the point being that death toll has been rising for 47 years. They're the number one executor. I mean, there have been months, I think October of 2025, this just past October, was the record high of almost 300 people executed, and these are trumped-up charges. It could be for a mere social media post that you get executed, athletes and journalists and dancers and poets. So this is not the first time, and that's why we say it's different, because the Iranian people are not going back from this.
A couple more questions here. Lisa Daftari is joining us, the founder of the Foreign Desk News. Lisa, I saw this image. I'm sure you've seen it. Everyone's seen it now. This gorgeous Persian woman with her hair, riotously untangled from wearing a hijab. She burns a picture of the Ayatollah and lights a cigarette with it, and then throws this picture. Just an iconic moment here. The courage of women in particular being such a part of this. You talk about women here in the West fighting for their rights. These women are fighting for their lives, for their dignity. How powerful is that? And could that be the game changer here about the fact that women are? I saw an elderly woman who was marching, and she said, in Persian, she said, "I'm not afraid of dying. I've been dead for 47 years. Talk about the powerful things we're seeing here.
You know, the Iranian women have been truly, I mean, the backbone of society for such a long time, and they came to the forefront in the Mahsa Amini protests. As I said, this 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was a Kurdish Iranian girl who was actually beaten to death by the morality police and the government because she was showing just a bit of her hair in the front. Her hijab was further back on her head. And that started a whole round of protests a couple of years ago, and the women have just become such a key players, and really the leaders in many cases, just so courageous. I mean, and you're looking at a society, and I want people to understand this juxtaposition where, yes, they're being ruled by these religious clerics with Sharia law, but then you have one of the most modern and progressive societies of the Middle East. They have turned away from Islam. They have converted to Christianity in many cases. Wow. They are modern, and they are educated, and the women have careers, and they are extremely progressive in that sense, and showing the world that this is a fight worth fighting for, and there
Amazing.
will be global implications as well.
Lisa Daftari, the president, was returning from West Palm Beach on Air Force One. He was asked about this. Here's what he said.
They do. They called
you?
yesterday.
Is it still an option?
Iran called to negotiate. Yesterday. The leaders of Iran called. They want to negotiate. I think they're tired of being beat up by the United States.
Are you sure you think on that call?
Iran wants to negotiate, yes.
Negotiate what?
We may meet with them. I mean, a meeting is being set up. But we may have to act.
So the Iranian leadership is asked to discuss, and the way President Trump said it, negotiate with the U.S., which is fascinating. He said a meeting set up, but we may have to act because of what's happening before the meeting. What do you expect from the administration here, Lisa?
I think this is just a distraction, and I think Donald Trump is being Donald Trump, and he has done a phenomenal job supporting the Iranian people with his maximum pressure campaign in the first administration, continuing that campaign now, giving them maximum, putting maximum pressure on the regime and maximum support for the people, which I think is incredible. Even I think this using this language of we're setting up that meeting now, I think it's a bit damaging to the current movement, but I do think it's more of a distraction. And the second part of his statement, when he says, I think we will have to act before that, is more of a continuation of the threat language because he has threatened the regime.
And real fast, Lisa, so again, people have to understand the dynamic here in the Middle East. The Iranians are not Arab. It's a different ethnicity. No. They have no friends there. The rest of the Middle East, despite the fact that they have Islam writ large in common, it's a different sect of what most of the Arabs practice with regard to Islam. It seems like the Ayatollah's only friend is in Moscow right now, and I don't think they're in a position to come riding to their rescue. This really is a turning point.
Absolutely a turning point, and I think it's worth noting that there's two issues that we've always thought were standing in the way. The challenge is standing in the way of regime change in Iran over the last, especially 10, 20 years, was that there's no leader that the West could rely on in terms of, obviously, nobody wants regime change. No one wants to create a political vacuum, especially in the Middle East, et cetera. But now, as you listen to the slogans on the street, the majority of slogans are calling for Reza Pahlavi, the exiled prince of Iran, who lives close to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, he's in Northern Virginia. I think he's a WMAL listener, by the way, but he's kind of busy right now. I understand.
He's a job busy, yes, but he's been a phenomenal and steadfast supporter of all the freedom-seeking people in Iran, putting out videos, and the people have rallied behind him, both the expats and the people inside Iran. I think it's the first time that we're just looking at a movement that stands for only two things: secularism and democracy, and I don't think anyone could really disagree with that.
Incredible. Lisa Daftari, keep up the great work, and we'll check in with you as events develop over there in the Persian Street. It's
wonderful chatting with you.
Same here.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:36 now this Monday morning. Thanks for tuning in to O'Connor and Company. Coming up in 30 minutes, it's the Chris Plant Show. We'll be speaking with Chris momentarily. It's Larry O'Connor with Carrie Lukas, who's in for a ailing but but slowly recovering, Julie Gunlock. In fact, we have a update on Julie's health situation coming up in a couple of minutes, so you're going to want to hear that. But Carrie, thanks for being here, for our friend, for our sister.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for not being quite nearly as big a pain in the butt as Julie was for me. You are.
I'm not doing my job then, Larry. I got to step it up.
She gave you some notes, clearly. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. So we both we have a lot. I've graduated 2 kids from college. You've got 2 kids in college right now, right?
Yep.
You've got a third a couple of years away, right?
Yep. I've got a junior, so we're thinking about it.
There
slowly.
You go. Yeah, and I've got 2 graduated. We've got 1 in college right now in his 3rd year, and so when you hear super smart, super successful people give their advice about your future and how you can sort of follow in their footsteps, you want to pay attention, right?
Absolutely.
So who's more successful on the planet right now if you measure it by influence and money than literally the richest man in the world, Elon Musk? And he's been pretty influential. He's changed the way we access the internet, drive electric cars, launch things into space, So here's Elon Musk talking about a college education.
This is not hard, and that's why I'm asking my opponent, if your little girl
that
comes
does not
home,
sound like Elon Musk at all. That sounded like Winsome Sears. And I think we're going to have to delve into that issue. Other than unless, hold on a second, I think we might be onto something. Have you ever seen Elon Musk and Winsome Sears together in the same place?
I don't think so.
See, there could be some sort of doppelganger situation here. All right, I'll play a little bit here. Oh, will I? Yes, I will. Sure, I will. Hang on. Okay, let's go.
You don't need college to learn stuff, okay? Everything is available basically for free. You can learn anything you want for free. It is not a question of learning. There is a value that colleges have, which is like, seeing whether can somebody work hard at something, including a bunch of sort of annoying homework assignments, and still do their homework assignments. And kind of soldier through and get it done. That's like the main value of college. And then also, if you probably want to hang around with a bunch of people your own age for a while instead of going right into the workforce. So I think colleges are basically for fun and to prove you can do your chores, but they're not for learning. But there is a requirement of evidence of exceptional ability. Like, you just can't, if you're trying to do something exceptional, you must have evidence of exceptional ability.
All right, so
going to college.
That's fascinating, and I think that confirms a lot of people's priors, actually, too. However, I mean, when you're talking about science and technology and medicine and engineering and things like that, I think you do learn things. Now, what Musk is saying is, if you really want to learn how to do those things, all of it's available online right now. You can just teach yourself. But I don't think everyone is capable of that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what Musk is really pointing to is the possibilities that are now out there that didn't used to be. You didn't used to be able to have access to all the great professors and thinkers and challenging, even the way that now you can kind of debate with other people in real time. There is so much more out there, but I don't think we need to be quite so negative as I pay another college tuition check.
Yes.
Nothing is being learned, because I do think that it helps in terms of like coaching and those small groups and kind of helping kids through the process. But yeah, the possibilities that outside of college are really amazing and very encouraging.
Yeah, and I do feel like in the last 20 years, our society has gone so overboard to emphasize getting a 4-year degree. And, of course, the myth that was sold to people was you get that four-year degree and you're set for life. Instead, people are finding out that they have a useless degree. They can't get them a job at a Starbucks. And, by the way, they're saddled with college debt. So more people that we can sort of funnel into trade craft, be a mechanic, be HVAC, be a plumber, we need that. Construction. The fact that we need illegal immigrants to construct houses in this country, we're told, because Americans won't do the job. Well, getting a construction job is a hell of a good job, and there's no reason why Americans can't do that as well. Here's the problem, though. The other problem, I think, with Elon Musk's thesis is that if you want to be self-taught and you want to teach yourself things and all the information's out there, To learn it, Carrie Lukas, you have to read it, right? I mean, that's how you absorb that information. And apparently, the current generation, the Gen Z types that are going to college right now, are, in general, according to Fortune magazine, unable to read a sentence. Professors warn it could lead to a generation of anxious and lonely graduates. Hold on. How are they graduating if they can't read a sentence? From the article, it says, even when you read it in class with them, there's so much they can't process about the very words that are on the page. Is this a result of like social media and devices and having sort of everything video and audio absorbed instead of actually reading?
You know, I guess so, that this is much more speaks to an attention problem more than an actual like literacy problem. Although, you know, this really is a moment to take a step back and say, before we all know that the college system is wasteful and you don't get your money's worth. But wow, K through 12, if we're really graduating students that aren't prepared to read a paragraph in college, then our K through 12 education system really needs some work.
It's 8:43.
This afternoon on the Derek Hunter Show, will Minneapolis-St. Paul still be standing or smoldering? We'll talk about it either way at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
It's Larry O'Connor here with Carrie Lukas in for Julie Gunlock. And Carrie, let's talk about Julie Gunlock behind her back.
Don't get me. I've known Julie for 25 years, Larry, so I've got a lot I could say. But mostly just what a wonderful, wonderful person and friend she is.
I want to hear the other stuff. All right. Well, I'll buy you a glass of wine.
Maybe later, yeah.
Listen, in all seriousness, for people who have been wondering, you have not heard Julie on this program since last Tuesday morning, and there's a reason for it, and it's not a good one. She suffered a medical emergency last week, and she is recovering. She is out of danger, which is really good news. But there is going to be a long and challenging road to recovery ahead for her right now, and she's not yet able to resume all of her professional duties, including this radio program. Actually, she's not really able to resume her family duties as well. Yeah. She's got 3 teenage boys. Darren is sort of carrying the load right now and getting everything done and taking care of Julie. Julie is still hospitalized, and of course the family's asked for privacy, and we certainly respect that. But what I can say on the air is that if anybody has been touched by Julie's wit and intelligence and talent and fire and passion and spirit, if you could donate a little bit to her family fund to help them get back on their feet while she recovers, that would be phenomenal. GiveSendGo.com/Julie Gunlock. GiveSendGo.com/Julie Gunlock. We announced this Saturday afternoon, and there's already been a huge response. And if you can't give anything, go there anyway and pray for her. And you can click on the little pray button and let us know that you have prayed for her, and that you've prayed for her, and you will get updates on her progress. But that's all I can report. You can report a little more because you've actually seen her.
Yeah, I've seen her, and I know that there's the messages that she's receiving really give her a lot of encouragement because she loves this show. She loves this audience. She loves her community here in Virginia. So it really means a lot to her, I think, for it to be hearing from all these folks to know that she means something to them. So she certainly means a ton to me. So I appreciate it too.
It's overwhelming to scroll through the people who have donated. So many are just people who know Julie from this program and from this radio station and have shouted out and said, we love you, we need you, we miss you, and that goes times 1,000 for me. I want my sparring partner back here, my best friend, and my unofficial sister. It's not the same without her. Carrie, I really appreciate you being such a great friend and filling in today, and hopefully we'll see you again. A lot of Julie's friends have reached out to me and said, hey, if you need me on the air while she's laid up, so stay tuned. You're going to hear a lot of people coming on here and singing the praises of Julie Gunlock, which is all I need. Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's 8:52.